Alright, so this is the ThesisYoyos Aventus. It's the bimetal version of the Invictus, check that review out if you haven't seen it yet, and it's a $100 yo-yo, buy links in the description. This yo-yo came out in October 2022 and I've owned this yo-yo for about 4 months. And so before we get into the review, remember to like the video if you enjoy what you see, and hit that subscribe button to stay notified about any future uploads. And so with that out of the way, let's jump right into it.
Hi, where are you from?
Keep in mind, if the rating is set to 3, it means that the yo-yo is merely average at that category, and won't be described with as much detail. 4 means the yo-yo is better than the standard, and 5 means it performs very well in that category. And then 2 and 1 means that the yo-yo lacks in these categories. So let's start with the physical attributes. First we have comfort. Now keep in mind that the comfort varies from the person wielding the yo-yo, and so if you have thinner or thicker hands than me, this rating might vary for you. But nonetheless, it's still worth considering. Now if you want to figure out how comfortable a yo-yo is, all you really need to consider is how your fingers interact with the yo-yo and how it sits on your palm, both when holding it and when the yo-yo comes back to your hand. Grinds aren't the best. The finish on the blasted part of the yo-yo feels more chalky than other anodizings I've tried on other yo-yos. And as for build quality, durability, and smoothness, they're all quite average as well. So yeah, for the physical attributes, it doesn't really stand out much. So let's talk about playability. First we got binds. Similar to comfort, this has a similar level of variance as string thickness, string length, as well as bind technique all have inputs on the performance of the binds. And so for the viewer's information, I am using Kitty XL at full length. And so for the Aventus, I'd say the throw has a nice balance of grip and space, as I don't get as much hiccups for when I execute any heavy binds or lacerations. Aside from technique, rejections are heavily influenced by the yo-yo's shape and angle. So if a yo-yo has a steeper build and the walls are set higher, or if the yo-yo has more contact with the string, rejections are usually much easier to execute. In contrast to horizontal, where you would want a broader yo-yo so it doesn't make as much contact to the sides. And so with this yo-yo, since it has a wider range, this yo-yo would do horizontals better than rejections. For power, I'd give this throw a 4. Because not only is it a bimetal, but most of its weight is at the edge, which is usually the goal for competition throws like this one. As for the minimum sleep threshold of simply dropping the yo-yo and letting it spin, we got an average of 2 minutes and 40 seconds on a 100cm XL string. So I'd say that's pretty powerful, as the general average is at least over a minute. Moving on to acceleration, because the yo-yo is more focused towards tech, as the yo-yo tries to stray away from rejections, and given how powerful the yo-yo is, speed isn't a priority with this yo-yo, so a mere 2 out of 5. And as for agility, the same can be said, but it's a little bit more forgiving, so it's still a 2 out of 5. As for catchability, this yo-yo is quite wide, but it isn't too wide that you catch COVID, but you get the point. It's catchable enough to do more of your riskier elements, but won't land on strings that you didn't intend to. Although I will say that you might struggle with tighter string formations with this, which is why it gets a 4. And as for stability, it's been established that most competition yo-yos should at a fair level of stability, so it should make sense that this yo-yo has that. Although a problem I've noticed is that tighter string formations when the yo-yo has been spinning for a while tends to make this yo-yo tilt a lot more than what I'm used to. So take note on that, on why I gave it a 2 on stability. So to summarize the overall performance, I'd say it fits the more tech and slack elements rather than the speed elements, as the yo-yo focuses its weight on that kind of playstyle. Moving on from all that, let's continue the size comparisons. First off, here are these specs. Moving on to the size comparisons, here's the Aventus next to the Offset YoYo's Deviant, the ThesisYoyos Invictus, the Yo-Yo Factory Shutter Wide Angle, the Magic Yo-Yo Node. As for the most similar yo-yo, we're going to be comparing this yo-yo to the ThesisYoyos Invictus. Since the Aventus is simply a bimetal version of the Invictus, they both have the same shape and even dimensions, although the cups have different looks because the mass of the Aventus needs to compensate for the bimetal rims. While at first when buying this throw, you might think it's simply a bimetal Invictus. But as most bimetals are, this shit plays very far from how the Invictus plays. Although I will say that they both are quite heavy due to the high concentration of power on the rims. And with that power, the yo-yo somewhat struggles with the maneuverability. Like if you were throwing a lighter yo-yo like the Corruption or the Shutter then swap to this, it's a bit more noticeable. As for my recommendation, I'd recommend this towards more techie players that need that intricate control over the yo-yo's movement. And I'd also recommend speedy players and extreme players to stray away from this. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get it if it interests you, but I'd recommend you spend the $100 on yo-yos that would fit your style more. But for those techie players I mentioned earlier, this would fit really well with you, and so if you want to cop one out, you have my go signal. Moving to the tier list, I put this yo-yo in the B tier. It plays well and it's worth the price. While it is a competition yo-yo, I personally wouldn't use this as my main throw. And so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys did, be sure to hit that like button and comment down any ideas you might have and I'll check them out later. If you want to keep seeing more videos like this, remember to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be reminded whenever I upload a new video. And with that out of the way, thank you guys for watching and see you on the next one.